Hello children, how are you all? Hope everyone is keeping fine and safe at your homes. So today we are starting our next lesson in EVS, chapter 4, living and non-living things. I repeat, chapter 4, living and non-living things. So you might have learned about living things and non-living things in class 1 and in your KG section. So let me ask you, what do you mean by living things? I am standing in front of you. Am I a living thing? Yes, we all are living things. We are all living things. So all the human beings are living things. Now take the case of plants. Are they living things? Yes, plants are also living things. What about animals? Animals are also living things. Now what about birds? Birds are also living things. So all the plants, all animals, all human beings, they are all living things. Now tell me, why do we call them living things? We call them living things because they have certain characteristics. That means they have certain qualities that tells they are living things. So let us see a slide which shows you a number of living things and non-living things, and you have to identify which are the living things and which are the non-living things. So have a look on the slide. Children, what can you see here? You can see a number of things here. What is this? This is a shoe, a half shoe of a girl. Now here you can see a flower. You can see a bat. This is a snake. This is a rat. Here is a piece of chocolate. Here is another flower, and it is a dry flower. Now a cockroach. You can see a toy horse. Now this is a millipede. Now you can see a frog. Here this is a parachute. Here you can see a fish. So you can see a number of things here. You can see different animals, you can see different things, and you can see different insects. So I told you that all living things consist of plants, animals, and human beings. So does this have life? This is a non-living thing. This shoe is a non-living thing. Here this is the flower. Flower is got from the plant. We get flowers from plants. So when we pluck the flower, its life is gone. Now this is a snake. It is a living thing. A rat is a living thing. Now bat also is a living thing. This is a toy. This is a non-living thing. Here this worm is a living thing. Frog is a living thing. Parachute is a non-living thing. Fish, it's a living thing. Cockroach, that is also a living thing. Now here another flower is there. It's a dry flower. That is a non-living thing. So in short, we can say that all plants and animals and also insects and birds, they are all living things. Whereas the other things that you saw in the slide, like the shoe, the toy horse, then the dry flower, they are all non-living things. Now let us see what are the characteristics, different characteristics of living things. So have a look on the slide. Here, living things. All living things can eat food. They can eat food. We all eat food, isn't it? All the plants eat food, but the food that plants eat are prepared by them. So plants also have food. Animals have food. Animals feed on other plants and other animals. We also have food. We get food from plants and animals. So all the living things eat food. Now second point, they can breathe. All living things can breathe. How do we breathe? We breathe through our nose, isn't it? Now likewise, plants also breathe. Birds breathe. all the animals breathe. So plants breathe through tiny pores present in the leaves. Now, so first point is they can eat food. Second one, they can breathe. Third point is they can grow. All living things can grow. You know that when you were born, you were a small baby. So after years, we started growing. You started growing and now you have become in class 2, isn't it? So in smaller classes, you were little more small. So all the living things, either it is plants or it is animals or it is birds, they can grow. They eat food and they can grow. Now next point is they can feel. All living things can feel. How do you feel when you get a pinch from your mother? You feel pain in your skin, isn't it? Now what about when your hand touches a hot vessel? You pull your hand back, isn't it? So all living things, I told you we are all living things. All living things can feel. Have you seen touch me not plant? What happens when you touch that plant? It closes its leaves, isn't it? So all the plants, all the animals and all human beings can feel. We learned in our first chapter, our skin helps us to feel. So living things can feel. Next point, they can reproduce. All the living things can produce their young ones. So all living things produce their young ones. Some produce their young ones by laying eggs and the eggs hatch out into the newborns. Now others, they give birth to young ones. So all plants and all animals and all human beings, they give birth to their young ones. Now they can move on their own. All living things are able to move on their own. Now tell me children, which is the organ that help you to walk? It is your legs. What about a dog? A dog also has got legs. What about a cat? A cat can walk with the help of its legs. What about birds? Birds can fly with the help of their wings. Now fishes, they swim in water with the help of their fins. So you can see that all the living things can move on their own. So all living things can move on their own. Now these are the examples. I already told you the examples for living things are all the plants, all animals and all humans. In the slide you can see butterfly is there, a tiger is there. Now you can see a dinosaur. This is a tree. These are all living things. So let us see the points once again. Living things can eat food, they can breathe, they can grow, they can feel, they can reproduce, they can move on their own, and the examples are plants, animals and humans. Now what about non-living things? In our first slide we saw a number of non-living things. So all the living things have got special characteristics and all the non-living things possess the opposite characteristics of living things, that is just the opposite. The non-living things do not eat food and they do not breathe, they do not grow, they do not feel, they do not reproduce and they cannot move on their own. So take the case of the shoe which you saw in the first slide. Does shoe take any food? No. Shoe does not eat any food. Now does shoes breathe? No, it does not breathe. We also saw one toy horse. Does it breathe? No. Does it take food? No. Now does the toy horse grow big? No, it does not grow big. It remains as itself. What about the shoes? The shoe also will not grow big. So the non-living things do not grow. And what happens if I give a pinch to that horse, that toy horse? Will it have any feeling? Will it cry? Does it have any pain? No, it does not have any pain because it does not have life in it. So there is no life, no pain, no feelings at all. So all non-living things do not feel. Now, they do not reproduce. We spoke about the toy horse. Does it produce any young one? No. But if it was a live horse, it could have produced young ones. But since it is a toy horse, no young ones are produced. What about the shoe? That also will not reproduce. So we have to understand all non-living things do not reproduce. Now, they cannot move on their own. Take the case of the shoe. Does it move on its own? Only when we wear the shoe and walk, the shoe is moving with us. We are moving actually, the shoe is not moving. So, all the non-living things do not move on their own. Now, take the case of the toy horse. When we sit on it and when we just swing or when we just move it, it keeps on moving, but it will not move on its own. So, all the non-living things do not move on its own. It can move only with the help of someone who is pushing or pulling it. Okay. So, let us see the characteristics of non-living things once again. We can see a number of non-living things in and around your house. So, what you have to do is you have to find out some examples. So, all the examples you can see in your room itself. See some examples here which I have written: chair, table, pencil, lunchbox, books. Take these examples. Does it have any life? It does not have any food. It does not breathe. It does not grow. It do not feel, and they cannot move on their own. We can use these things when we lift and move it, only it will move. It will not move on its own. So these are the examples. I repeat: chair, table, pencil, lunchbox, books. Here you can see the images here. Pencil is there, chair is there, book is there. So you have to find out a number of examples for living things and non-living things in and around your house and write it in your rough book. Okay. So you have to study these points also, the characteristics of living things and non-living things. So you have to read the textbook. In your textbook there is a story. That story I will explain during our live session and we will discuss that in detail. Now I am giving you some question answers to study. So these are the notes. So some questions, fill in the blanks. First one, human beings breathe through their dash. Answer is nose. Second one, plants breathe through dash on the surface of the leaf. Answer, tiny holes. So tiny holes are present on the leaves that helps the plants to breathe. Third one, dash plants close their leaves on touching. Answer is touch me not plant. Have you heard the term Tottavadi? It is that plant. Touch me not means Tottavadi. Now fourth one, dash flower moves towards the sun. Which is that flower? That is sunflower. What is its color? It is yellow in color. So sunflower moves towards the sun. Now fifth question, fish breathe with the help of dash. How do fishes breathe? Fishes breathe with the help of a part called gills. G-I-L-L-S, gills. Fishes breathe through gills. Now insects means cockroach, fly, etc. So they breathe with the help of dash, with the help of air holes. Some holes are present in the body of insects and that help them to breathe. Seventh one, birds fly with the help of their dash. All of you know the answer, isn't it? Birds fly with the help of their wings. Now last one, fish swim with the help of their dash. Fish swim with the help of their fins. So fish swim with the help of their fins. So these questions, these fill in the blanks questions and its answers you have to copy down in your notebook, and you have to study the spellings of these answers. Okay. Now we move on to the question answers. I have given 3 question answers of this part. The first one, what are living things? Give 2 examples. Answer is, living things are the things which can eat, breathe, grow, feel, move and reproduce. Examples are rose plant, pigeon. So the examples I have written specifically. If you know other examples, you can write other examples. Okay. So that is the first question answer. Second one, write any 3 differences between living things and non-living things. So you have to write 3 differences between living things and non-living things. First one, they eat food. Living things eat food. What about non-living things? They do not eat food. Second one, living things grow. Non-living things do not grow. Third point, living things can move on their own. Non-living things do not move on their own. Now examples for living things, plants, animals and humans. What about non-living things? Chair, table and pencil. Now third question, how do fish breathe? Answer is, fish breathe with the help of gills. So these are the question answers. You have to copy it down in your EVS notebook. So the fill in the blanks questions as well as the question answers, please copy in your EVS notebook, and you have to write and study it 3 times in your rough book. Okay, so that's all for today's EVS class. See you again next week with the continuation of the lesson. So bye bye and take care.